Excuse me.
This is the deposition of Jeffrey Gross. The date is March 27, 2015, and the time is 10:11. You can swear in the witness.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Jeffrey Gross, Jeffrey. Last name Gross, Gross.
Okay. And Officer Gross, how long have you worked for the police department?
It will be 17 years this April 13th.
All with the Austin Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. And what is your title?
Current title is Sergeant.
Okay. What department do you work in?
Currently, I work in the Violent Crimes 2 unit over the Domestic Violence unit.
Okay. What do you do with them?
I supervise, along with a second sergeant, 15 detectives and 4 officers, mainly giving guidance and assisting them, making sure the investigations of domestic violence are handled properly, closed out properly, appropriate charges are being filed, along with annual evaluations of those officers and detectives.
Okay. As part of the gang unit, are you familiar with gang signs and gang symbols and things? Rap songs?
Objection 4.
What were you doing in a pizza parking lot on the night of the accident?
Objection 4.
I was, at that time, assigned to North Central Patrol as a patrol supervisor, patrol sergeant. In that capacity, supervising 10 officers and 1 corporal. So I was in a patrol capacity aspect on that night, responding to a disturbance at that location.
Okay. And you've been involved in depositions before, correct?
I have in one previous
Okay.
deposition.
So you know some of the basic rules in regard to how what you say here is the same as is testimony you would give in court,
Yes,
and that anything you say here, if it's different than what you say in court, can be used to contradict what you say.
yes,
There's no medications that you've been on that would affect or alter your memory?
no,
Are there any medications or substances that would help you recall
no.
the events of this accident? Some people it does. I'm just asking. What's your training as a police officer?
As a police officer, prior to APD, I went through a basic peace officer certification course and worked part-time with the Travis County Constable's Office, Precinct 3. And that was a part-time position, civil process, and truancy notifications as well. Part of that basic peace officer's certification requirement was various aspects and training of transportation code, criminal law, family code, basically the requirements to get your basic peace officer certification.
Let me start just with the basics. How long does it take to earn a badge? How many weeks or months of training does it take from the beginning with police school and
Okay.
to the time that you graduate?
It was approximately 6.5 months.
6.5 months, okay. And during that 6.5 months, you're trained in various courses?
Yes.
Is there any opportunity to specialize, kind of like to major in the basic course, or is it the same for everybody?
It would be the same for everybody in that phase of the training academy.
Okay, so you graduated after the 6.5 month training period, and then you went on to any type of specialty training?
Not specialty. Upon graduation, you do 3 months with a field training officer just to prepare you for solo status after that training period.
Okay.
But as far as specific training in specific areas, no.
Are there any documents that you've reviewed today in preparation for the deposition?
No.
Can we take a break for just one moment?
Sure.
Were you asked?
Since you brought,
On the record?
now that that's been clarified, have you reviewed anything for this deposition at any time?
Yes.
What is that?
The offense report, the collision report, photographs, and the CAD sheet printout that's generated through our computer-aided dispatch sheet of the call.
Okay. And do you have a copy of those today for us?
I do not have them present here.
Okay.
You have them as COA 1 through 33 that we've given you on the disclosures.
Well, shut my mouth. Okay. I'm going to start with a police report and ask you to identify that.
Okay.
Is that the police report that you identified as being something that you reviewed at some point? Maybe not today, but
Yes, one of the documents being the CR3 collision report, separate from the Austin Police generated offense report.
and I may review what I've been sent first. Let me ask you one question before we get too much involved in this, just for the jury's sake, in terms of possibly narrowing the scope of what we're here for today. Do you take 100% complete responsibility for the accident?
No.
Okay. Then that's why we're here. Since I have not reviewed the CAD report, is there any information from your review that is contradictory, or is it all consistent with the occurrence that happened,
It's
as
consistent.
far as you know? Were there any witnesses to the accident?
I believe there were a few witnesses identified. I can specifically recall there were some security officers on scene.
One security officer named Jesus, right?
I don't recall the name specifically.
Would that be on the CAD report?
Either in the CAD report or the offense report.
Okay.
I don't recall if there were any third-party witnesses aside from that. There may have been, but not that I would have contacted or spoken with.
Well, from what I gathered, there was what the city is relying on in terms of witnesses, that there's an unnamed witness that claims it was both you and Goldie's fault. Are you familiar with that witness?
Objection form.
Go ahead.
I'm not.
Okay. Do you know how many witnesses in total that you all recorded?
I do not.
That would be in the CAD report or the police report, though, correct? Why don't you
Yes, sir.
review that for us? I'm going to give you a copy of this. I'll just give you all their disclosures.
And are you asking for me to identify the number of witnesses?
The number and the names, if you have them at the same piece of paper.
Can we go off the record for just one moment?
Sure.
Off the record. On the record at 10:25.
The witnesses identified from the offense report, I've identified as Eduardo Maldonado, and then 3 passengers of the vehicle involved, Tina Topsy, Daryl Fountain, and Dorothy Thomas.
Eduardo what?
Maldonado.
Maldonado, okay.
And then, of course, the operator of the vehicle, Goldie Gaddison.
Isn't there a witness named Jesus? A security guard? Don't forget Jesus.
His name is probably Jesus.
I call him Jesus.
If there is, I'm overlooking it, or I don't have knowledge of that witness.
Is it within your ordinary scope? Is it within your ordinary scope of employment to record the witnesses and anything they say along with their contact information?
It would be by the reporting officer.
Okay, okay. When it in the offense report, I'm curious, who is the offender? You or Goldie?
Objection form.
I can't say that that's specifically designated one way or another.
What's your basis?
We're both listed as drivers or operators of vehicles, not,
Ms. Gerben, what's your basis for your objection of who the offender is?
I think it's a very broad question. It's very unclear. And argumentative.
Thank you. Who's listed as the offender?
Objection form. Asked and answered. You still have to answer.
okay. Neither myself or Ms. Gaddison, from what I'm reading,
What's the purpose of an offense report?
to document parties involved and
In a what? In an offense, right?
in an incident, offense.
Isn't an offense and the same as a violation of the law?
Not necessarily.
Scott, the only thing I would ask you is if you can let him finish his question before you ask another one, so we're not interrupting and the record's clear.
No problem, I don't, okay, no problem. Is there anything I cut you off from saying?
Just to add that offense, what's considered general offense reports are generated not only for an offense that would be deemed as criminal in nature, but there are also civil aspects or civil calls that we respond to where an offense report will be generated. Offense not specifically referring to a criminal offense, but it could be civil. It's just documentation purposes.
Those are my copies, right?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Gergen, you offered something. You had one of your documents that is part of here. Is that correct, or did you take yours back? I don't want to.
I took mine back.
Okay.